Welcome to How to Make a Natural Lotion. First, you want to make sure all your utensils and tools are sterilized before you use them. You can do this by simply washing them with hot soapy water and letting them dry well. To make a lotion, you are basically combining equal parts water and oil. It's kind of like making mayonnaise. Once you make a lotion for the first time, you can start playing around with it, combining different things that you want, especially for your skin, if it's dry or oily, or you want that nice little touch of an extra special oil in there, like maybe some jojoba oil. Here we have our water-soluble ingredients. We have a hydrosol, we have aloe vera, you can use jelly or juice. We have distilled water and citric acid, which is acidic and it helps to inhibit microorganisms and increase your shelf life. And borax, which is an alkaline, naturally occurring mineral that helps with the lotion's glide and texture. The first thing that you want to do is combine the water ingredients. So we'll be taking the distilled water here. You can also use a well-infused herbal tea, say with some antioxidant herbs in it. You don't want to use tap water because that can add bacteria and things like that. So if you don't have distilled water, you might just want to boil your water. So we're just going to pour that right into the bowl to combine with our other ingredients. And then we have here some aloe vera jelly. It's exactly 4 ounces, which is half a cup. And these are all measured by volume. And we're just going to squeeze that out into the measuring cup. It's a little bit chunky, but we know that it equals half a cup. You could also use aloe vera juice if you prefer in this recipe. Then we're going to be adding some hydrosol. And this is a lavender hydrosol, which I absolutely love. Lavender is so nice for all skin types. But you could use other hydrosols like rose or even rosemary if you wanted to. Really, so many different kinds. We're going to add those together and just scrape out a little bit of that aloe there. And then we have our powders, and we add these to the water at this time. So this is our citric acid because they are water soluble. And so you don't want to add them to the oils. You always start with the borax and the citric acid in the water. And you can even heat that up a little bit to help it incorporate more. I just usually stir mine around and let it sit for a while so it can dissolve well. So we'll set that aside, and then we're going to start with our oil ingredients, our oil soluble. So here we have a coconut oil, which is really excellent for the skin. We have olive oil and almond oil. And then we have vitamin E oil, which is antioxidant. It's going to preserve the oils and increase our shelf life. Beeswax, this is from my hive, and it will help thicken the lotion. And essential oil, in this case lavender, which is both antimicrobial and healing to the skin. So then we're going to take first our coconut oil, and we have half a cup here. Coconut oil is really excellent for the skin, very, very nourishing to the skin. We're adding to that an extra virgin olive oil, 1/2 a cup, which is also really nourishing to the skin, and it's actually how this recipe got its name, those 2 oils. To that, we're going to add almond oil, 1 cup. And almond oil is a really excellent oil for the skin as well. It's very neutral and it has a really nice glide to it. So it makes a great like massage oil as well as a really nice lotion. And then we're taking our vitamin E oil. We're going to measure out 1/2 teaspoon of this, and this is a natural vitamin E oil, which is important. You don't want synthetic, and add that in to our oils. And again, this will keep the oils from going rancid, or at least reduce the rate that they would go rancid. So now we're ready to heat the oils. And to do that, we have a double boiler. We're going to first take the beeswax and add that to the double boiler. Beeswax won't go rancid. It's very, very stable. And so you can heat that up all by itself first and then add your oils afterwards. And that's a great way to just prolong, once again, the shelf life of your lotion. So you'll notice there's some sediment here. That's from the wax from my hive. It's not a problem. Normally you probably won't see that. And then you're going to add your oils. And you're going to see as we do this that the beeswax thickens up again. Now we're going to just be scooping out the rest of that coconut oil, that nice thick coconut oil. You can add the coconut oil first because it is a little bit more stable than the oils that are liquid at room temperature, and heat that up first and then add your almond oil and your olive oil. But really this melts so quickly that you're not exposing your oils to a lot of heat, so I don't find it necessary. Then you're just going to stir that up, and like I said, it's going to melt relatively quickly. And you just want to do that until all the different oils are incorporated. So here we are, they're just finishing off melting. You don't want to leave them there for any longer than you need to, and then you want them to cool. So you're going to wipe the bottom of your pot, and that's because you don't want any water to get in the oil yet. And you're just going to pour this into your blender. And be very careful when you do this because these oils are hot and you could hurt yourself. It takes a while for the oil to cool down to room temperature. And you don't want to blend the two, the water and the oil, until the oil is totally cooled. So here we can see the oil has cooled to room temperature. You can just touch it and feel it, but you can also see the color. And this is the correct time to add the essential oil. If you add it when the oil's still hot, it's going to evaporate. So again, I'm taking lavender essential oil. I have about 2.5 mils, which is a little less than what the recipe calls for, but that's just fine. And you can see that oil is still soft. And we're just adding the essential oil. And then we're going to put the lid on the blender. And we're going to start blending it all by itself because that oil might just come up out of the blender a little bit. So we have the lid on. Once it's blending and going, then we're ready to take the lid off and start adding our waters. And you want to do this slowly. So you're just kind of drizzling it in, like making a mayonnaise if you've ever done that before. And you can see it starts to change color. It's getting lighter here as the emulsification process is happening. And it's getting a little thicker. As it gets thicker, it's harder for it to blend. And so you can see here the blender is kind of slowing down, and at some point it's really not blending up that well. That's when I like to stop and scrape down the sides to really incorporate everything. You have to be careful not to get your spatula too deep into your blender or else you can hit the blades. And then we're just adding some more of our water here. And there we go. We've added all of that. I'm just going to scrape out the little stuff left at the bottom, the borax and the citric acid. And then I'm going to help the blender to just make sure that is all incorporated. And so again, I'm not going too deep, but I'm really stirring in the water. And you want the water to be fully emulsified into the oil before you stop. You can't even do this manually if it gets too thick. And there we have this beautiful creamy lotion. It smells amazing. And we're ready to put that in a jar. I prefer to use glass jars, and I like to use relatively small jars and store the rest in the refrigerator. That will help to preserve your lotion for longer, and then you can just refill your jar as you need it. Thank you so much for for learning about how to make a natural lotion. I hope you enjoyed the video.